The first question on the debriefing guide was, tell me where you saw caring exhibited in the scenario. I did notice that she addressed the patient by name and that she introduced herself, which means a lot to the patient because they see so many staff members. They're not sometimes able to remember names, and it's glad to have that reinforced also as a personal level when the patient is called by name. She did give detailed instructions on the diaper changes and gave opportunity for questions. And she somewhat addressed her concern about the Motrin by referring her to her physician. The second question was, tell me what behaviors you observed that were not caring. She completely ignored the patient's reference to not having a home, which not only now is the patient homeless, but also this infant is homeless. I thought she dismissed the comment about her baby being cute. That I thought it showed some element of excitement on the patient's part that she's talking about how cute the baby is. And she kind of brushed that off. She didn't give her an opportunity to do hands-on with the diaper changing. So I felt like that's really important, especially it's kind of stressful when you do have a new baby, knowing what to do, and you like to demonstrate that you do know instead of just being shown. She gives vague answers to her questions on Percocet, which, understanding her history, I kind of see, but because of her history, that could have been an opening for the nurse to start to discuss her past history and problems with drugs. And then at that point, she could have made some sort of referral, finding out where the patient is right now with her drug problems. She comes in setting a very short time frame to be with the patient by saying, oh, we're really busy. We've got really busy out there. And it says to the patient, I don't have much time to spend with you, so I'm just making it quick. She seems to be only concerned about getting that patient out and getting the next patient in. She, I felt like she had some preset notions in her head because this patient was young and because this patient had a drug history. And there are some different things you do need to do because of those two things, but you can't just dismiss the patient and say she's young, she doesn't know how to be a mother, or she's young and she's a drug addict, so and just completely blow off that whole situation. So there needed to be referrals made to different areas for various needs, as housing. Does she need some sort of therapy for her drug addiction? There were a lot of outlets for resources that could have been discussed, or had people come in and talk with the mother about, that were not done. Also, in some cases, when these young girls have children, it changes their lives. They actually turn around and they have somebody that actually cares for them, and they are, it just changes them. So that can happen, though nurses seeing it mostly the other way, we can kind of be negative in a lot of situations. How would you respond in this situation? I would have, when she said, I don't have a home, I would have been shocked by that, I'm sure, but I would have said, let's talk about that situation. Where were you living previously? Have you had a home? Where did you live in the past? Where do you plan to go with this baby? How do you plan to take care of this baby? There needed to be more conversation about that, and I would have tried to explore that. And again, I would have explored the degree of her drug problem at that time. I would have also let her demonstrate to me the diaper change. Let her do it so that I may, observe it and see what she's doing wrong, if she feels comfortable handling the baby. I did notice, she never really held the baby was being changed on the bed or in the bassinet. So she did not have that contact with the baby. So she might not yet be comfortable with that. Tell me about the priorities in this scenario from the patient's viewpoint and from the nurse's viewpoint. The priorities for the patient seem to be that she had no home to go to, she had no home to take the baby to, and she had no meds. So those were her priorities. For the nurse seemed to have a priority of getting that patient out and making room for more patients. That was her priority. Tell me about resources that could be offered to this patient. She could be educated as to what government assistance was available for housing and for needs, for food stamps, for housing provided for young mothers. I don't know what her situation is with, I think she said her boyfriend was going to be giving her a ride home. So, finding out what her situation was, and WIC for the baby, getting social services involved in her situation. There's unlimited resources for a situation like this. Also finding out what she needs. Does she have a car seat? Does she have any transportation? How is she going to be getting the baby to doctor's appointments, things like that. Just finding out where she stands at that current moment. What does she need? Not being judgmental as to her past and what problems she has had in the past, but finding out the problem and addressing that need. How would you transfer what you learned here to the practice setting? I've tried very hard not to treat patients with any preconceived notions that I have about their history. This person's a drug addict. Well, do they currently have a problem, or was that something they struggled with at that time? Oh, she's a young mother. She can't be a good mother because she's too young. She's not married. She doesn't have a support system. Every situation is different. This young mother could turn out to be the best mother ever. You just can't judge each person by cases that you've had in the past. And that is probably what I learned from my nursing, and what I would hope to apply to a situation like this and to any other situations that may come up.